He's unpredictable. He's relentless. He's fearless. He's smart. He's a jerk. Oh, man, what a jerk. How would you describe Kirk Minihane?
He's talented.
He's blunt.
He's complicated.
He's the fakest tough guy I know.
He's honest.
A self-proclaimed weenie.
He's angry.
He's actually a good guy. He's a psycho big mouth prick.
I wish we had more Kirk Minihanes.
How would you describe Kirk Minihane? Combustible, unpredictable, venomous, testy, obnoxious, selfish, polarizing, pompous.
Enough about me. Let's get to the show.
It's Kirk Minihane's Enough About Me.
So I tweeted out maybe a week ago about this book, The End of Your Life Club. And I have, I'm not Tommy Curran or Justin Bieber, but I have a decent Twitter follow of, I have like 600-700 people on Twitter that follow me or something.
Yeah.
Who knows what the number is? The only person who responded to me in any form or fashion about it was you.
Yeah.
Are you a big reader?
It's insane. I don't know what it is.
What do you mean?
I read.
Me too.
Read. It's gotten out of control once I got a Kindle.
Well,
you got a Kindle?
No, I need a book.
You say that.
One has been given to me, but I am old school. I am. I need a book in my hand. I'm always reading like 2 or 3 books at once. Too.
Have
That's
you
the
yet
other thing.
met a reader who doesn't say, like an avid reader who doesn't say, "I'm old school. I need the book"?
No, it's kind of like kind of an asshole thing to say.
So it's not that big of an asshole thing to say. But the thing about a Kindle is you can download a book on Hirohito and spend 2 nights on it and say, I can't do this. And you just are immediately
what
in the
does that
store.
mean? Hirohito.
I
got an underground world.
No. I got into a big history thing. I read all.
Hirohito. So I thought you meant this is like a
no.
himself.
Yeah,
Hirohito. Like a separate.
I got
Kindle
into this
world called
big
Hirohito.
World War II biographies and historical stuff.
Right.
And I started reading Hirohito. I'm like, this sucks. This is just I don't feel like reading all of this. You switch to another book within 3 seconds. You've got another book downloaded. $9.99, and you're on your way on something else. What happened is with the End of Your Life book club, which I started reading that you recommended, it was a little syrupy. I'm still reading it. I'll go back to it. But in the course of reading it, this book recommends other books, and recommended this book, Continental Drift, by a writer named Russell Banks. Was so depressing, but it speaks to people really kind of in our age where you're like, what are we doing?
It's a great book.
After 30. And then now I'm on to another Russell Banks book called Rule of Bone, which I started reading last night.
Sweet Hereafter is excellent, too.
So I'm just blasting off on these books.
Do you ever read sports books ever or no?
Rarely.
Me either. It's funny.
The first book I downloaded was the Rocket book.
Jeff Pearlman
Jeff
book?
Perlman,
Yeah. I read
but it's way back. I remember that was the first one I read on my Kindle.
Right. My problem with biographies, I like you, I read all the time. So I'll pick up a biography. The worst part of biographies, though, are like the first. Like I don't care about these biographies that go back. Forget about the guy himself.
Who they played stickball with.
But their grandfather and I want to get to page like tell me when the action starts and I'll jump in. That. I bet you I've spent 2 years of my life in biography backstories. If you add it all up. And I don't need it. It's like sitting in traffic. I don't need it.
How about, though, if you read Namath?
Excellent book.
Or Pistol. Those were good.
Same writer.
Right. Mark Kriegel. Because there's conflict there in both of those. And with Namath, there's a lot untold that you didn't know beyond like what an unbelievable athlete he was.
But Maravich's youth is interesting because he was so great, though.
Yeah.
But he got into Press's family's history in friggin' Lithuania, wherever the hell.
Yeah.
That to me gets a little... I want to get to the chorus.
They asked me not to swear too much when I was on here. That was the only thing.
Huh? Who asked you that?
My boss.
No, we're good. We're all fine.
No, I gave my heads up. That's the thing with you.
What do you mean?
I got to give my heads up. I'm still under the auspices, under the umbrella of Comcast.
I had lunch with Comcast people last week.
Of course. And I'm going on with Kirk. No, we're fine. Kirk, we're fine with Kirk.
Who do you talk to?
Me?
Yeah, who's the person
Kevin.
you talk to? Oh, well,
I
we get
usually
along
call
great.
Kevin. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But when I said, hey, I just figure it's probably smart for me to give a heads up.
That seems reasonable.
Kirk was a third rail situation there for a minute or two.
Well, yeah.
So I'm just going on.
The word was
that
don't
okay?
swear.
Yeah,
Really?
he said, can you stay away from the swearing a little bit?
Really?
He didn't say don't swear.
Right. Are you one of these guys? So, you're on the radio fairly often. You're on TV, although it's it's usually taped, right? The show, it's
portions,
right. Are you a phone guy? If I talk, I don't think we've ever talked on the phone. Are you a phone guy where, like, I'll talk to Jerry, right? So we're on the radio all day together. And I talk on the phone with Jerry, and it's fucking this, fucking Dino, fucking... Is everything fuck?
Yeah.
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 Do you feel ashamed about that?
Only because I have 3 sons who are 19, 18, 17, and
They all swear like that, though.
Yeah.
They have to. I mean, they must.
They do.
Right.
They do.
With you? Are you a dad who swears with your kids?
Yeah.
Really? I'm worried about that with my kids.
Well, that happened, it probably happened around 13, 14, 15 because they were with me all the time. And, I don't want to be like, hey, cool dad, I'm on the same level.
That's
and we're
what
doing
I'm
things
worried
together.
Right.
And there are times when I have to correct a little bit when somebody says, whoa, 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 whoa. But, riding along and, somebody, this fucking guy.
Right.
And I'm like, hey. And, of course, my wife, who's a terrific wife, she just really has an issue with it. Like the other night, my son came home at 12:40. He's 16. You have to be home at 12:30.
Rules 12:30.
Came home at 12:40. And he's a pusher of the rules. So he comes strolling in at 12:40.
Yeah.
And before he's in, I don't normally go to levels 8, 9, or 10.
You turned into like John Lithgow and Footloose when he came in late?
Yeah, I went to 8, 9, and 10 just because, you lose your license for a month.
For a month?
Yeah, you lose your license for a month through the state. You have
right. I
The
think
state.
this is the Curran family punishment.
Yeah, and it's
I
just
getcha.
he's showing up continually at 12:29,
Right,
or 12:30 on the dot. So I'm like, you're not giving yourself enough time. I've talked to you about, but I unloaded about 13, 14 F-bombs at a high decibel at 12:40.
What's the punishment?
See, and this is where I said, I said, you're home at 12:15, and if you're home at 12:16, you're losing your license for 2 weeks.
Well, I mean,
And then as he's walking away, I go, and that's a pussy punishment, too. You still get a pussy punishment.
12:30 is a little late, isn't it? No?
Yeah, he's 17, turned 17 yesterday.
No, that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
They're good kids. I got 3 boys. They're good guys.
Yeah.
I give them a fair amount of rope.
You catch a break as being a football writer. If you were a baseball beat writer, you couldn't do any of this shit. You couldn't write. You couldn't read books. You can't do anything. Your life is totally
And
screwed.
you know what? When I was at the Metro West Daily News in like late 90s, I was interviewing at the Herald the same time Jeff Horrigan was trying to get the baseball job at the Herald.
Right.
And Tony Maz was there, and I remember I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with him about, how can I get this job? What makes me marketable? I wanted the job because I wanted to get from the Metro West Daily News to the next stop.
How long had you been at Metro West Daily News at that point?
Since 97, so probably 4 years.
Yeah.
And you're making $35,000 with 3 kids.
Right.
And you got to move on.
Yeah.
So I would have done anything.
Yeah.
But Christ. I mean, you look at, that's the interesting thing about stuff.
And by the way, I'll let you, but that's like pre-Twitter, pre-internet. Like the beat was easier even then than it is now.
Oh, baseball? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard then, but compared to now even.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's you were writing 2 stories. I mean, how long is it? We're supposed to really write, if I don't write 2 to 5 stories a day, I feel like, I didn't do anything.
You mean like right now?
Yeah.
Even still today? Why this is draft week?
Well, here's the thing. We're all at NBC Sports, at all the regional RSNs, which the Comcast has 8 of them. We're supposed to use the Pro Football Talk model with Mike Florio,
like
which is
the 400
4
or 500
paragraphs.
words, whatever. Not
use
even,
the news,
right.
aggregate the news, pull the portions out, and then give your own spin to it.
Right.
So that's not what we're supposed to do, but that's the idea. Keep feeding your talk blog, as it's called, all day long, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
No question. Those are total bait candy.
Yeah. So
do you like doing it?
Sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I would rather be a news gatherer. The opportunity to make calls and
you can't do that.
Oh yeah, you can.
No, I know, but
the return on calls,
right?
Like,
gotcha.
Like for instance, I'm working on something right now about Jimmy Garoppolo because every time we have people say, why don't the Patriots trade Jimmy Garoppolo? You get people back. You can move him on. He'd certainly be, a person you could move when you get up close to the draft, when you see the guys who are being drafted. So why don't the Patriots flip him into a 1 or a 2? So you can call 4 or 5 GMs, as I did, or text them and see if they'll call you back. But then you're waiting for them to call you back and give you the information so you can move on the story. Meanwhile, you got a friggin' blog here that's swimming around, needs to be fed.
Right.
So that's why you sometimes get away from the information gathering and the longer stories.
You worried? Not worried, but do you know that in 3, 4, 5 years, it's just not going to matter as much as it does now?
The Patriots?
The Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about the run that you've, So when was your first year on the beat?
97.
So from 90, and I would, I know they were 8-8 one year, whatever, and but since Parcells got here to today, it's been, I think, either 1 or 1A in town. I mean, the last 10 years, forget it. In the last year and a half, I've never seen a sport like this ever in this city. Since the Morrison report came out to even now, it has been friggin' unbelievable. Forget Hernandez and Tebow and all that. I mean, it's been insane.
You have a guy who might have murdered 3 people, is alleged to have,
right,
in Aaron Hernandez. And that story is, if you looked at a graph, a line graph, it barely spikes compared to what has happened when they win Super Bowl. I mean, this is... But what has surrounded this team is unfathomable. Beyond the Super Bowls, you have the best coach of his generation. You have the best quarterback, perhaps of all time, coach of all time as well. A dynasty that has certainly, I believe, trumped what the San Francisco 49ers did from 1981 to
94,
95.
Right.
Has trumped what Lombardi's Packers did, has trumped what the Steelers did, and I just happen to be in the right place at the right time to cover the team that I grew up rooting for and that I grew up following. This is exactly what I wanted to do. So, yeah, it's going to fall off the table, but consider this. Do you know how much – and this is – we're not supposed to talk about this. I said this to Greg Bedard once about making the point that – do you understand how much money the Patriots have made us? How successful they've made media members. And Greg, I like Greg. Right. He goes, it's not them, it's us. I'm like, Greg, if we were covering the Cardinals,
there would be no quick slants if you're in Jacksonville,
man.
Right?
I wouldn't be at Comcast.
No, I wouldn't
because
be,
I wouldn't have gone to because I wouldn't have been getting television reps in the early 2000s, and then I wouldn't have been on the goddamn radio, and then I wouldn't have gone to NBC Sports, and then I wouldn't have been at Comcast.
No question.
It has changed everything. All we want to create is football content right now at Comcast.
I know it, yeah,
because it creates so much.
Well, it's given. I mean, I just signed a deal recently, and it was off the heels of a great book that was during the Patriots season. I mean, and if there were no Patriots or if they sucked, we wouldn't be doing the numbers we were doing in the fall. It's. I've never seen a level of attention. There's nothing even close to it. I can't put my. I know the game is great to watch on TV, and I guess it's because of that. I guess it's because of Brady and Belichick, and also I think because fans finally said, you know what, we actually are getting fucked. It's us against the world. I guess. I mean, I don't know what else I can come because. It was great before that, but it does feel like the interest now is even higher. And there has to be a ceiling. I mean, I think we've arrived at the ceiling. I don't know how much more intense it can get. Now, Brady's, if Brady gets suspended for 4 games, I guess it all starts again.
Well, it starts again, but I think that the end game becomes fascinating in terms of how it plays out. That'll be just incredible. I mean, when Brady retires, and I had certainly speculated that 2017 was going to be kind of a witching hour because if they hadn't redone him and they allowed him and Garoppolo to be on this intersection of expiring contracts, it was going to get pretty dramatic. But now that's not going to happen. But you look at the whole thing's been Shakespearean, the whole friggin' thing. If you look at how it started, a player that nobody wanted, a coach that nobody liked.
Right.
They create something, and then the darlings of the NFL within 3 years, the ruling class loathes them, finds a reason and a way to entrap them.
Right.
It was Spygate. They respond to that with, the whole friggin' thing. You can't write it.
Wild.
And I'm only up to 07 with that shit. And then in 2008, the guy blows his knee out. I mean, this has been as interesting as you could find. I mean, find another track. I mean, Jordan's career.
Sure.
He leaves. Dad gets murdered.
Right. Baseball.
Leaves baseball.
Comes back, wins 3 more. Rodman, I guess. But, that Bulls run of actual greatness, because it took Jordan a while to get there, was 7 years.
But the content of
there was
the storyline, the arc of it is just totally different than.
Oh, completely.
This has been the dramatic peaks and valleys of it is interesting as hell.
Have you tried to contact Hernandez at all for an interview?
No, I haven't, and I ought to.
We were talking about that the other day with somebody because it's been, 3 years. Is that right? This summer?
2013. Yeah, it'll be this.
3 years this summer, and he hasn't. And maybe it's because I'm sure maybe his lawyers are saying, but I've talked to a bunch of people, and nobody has even tried to talk to him. Would you want to talk to him?
Yeah.
Do you think he would?
What would I ask him?
And not only that is what kind of interview subject is he going to be?
You know what? Here's the interesting thing.
My guess is he's going to be a different man than the guy you talked to, 4 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah. And thinking off the top, but can you put on that mask quickly? And I wouldn't doubt it that he could.
Right.
If it was a sit-down interview face-to-face,
right.
I would imagine he would, because of the audience that he's speaking to, put on the mask that he used to use when he dealt with us.
Well, how was he when you dealt with him?
Quiet. Not quiet, but, on the move.
Right.
What's up, Aaron? Hey, what's up? Boom. He's on his way.
Yeah.
Just the only time I actually engaged him to a degree was, and this is an interesting journalistic quid pro quo that you go through with players, to kind of show you how the sausage gets made. After he signed that deal, of course, he gave money back to the Crafts because he's a benevolent guy. I sidled up to him and said, look, if you're ever doing anything with charities or you ever start a foundation or anything, let me know. I'll be happy to do anything because I'm sure that you'll be doing some of that stuff going forward. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, and I appreciate the offer. I think that was the only time we talked for more than 45 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
And what were you saying in terms of tweeting something out, or what would you have done? What do you mean? What were you offering?
Hey, I'm having this event. You want to come out and cover this?
So
you'd
like
go,
that, right.
or make sure that people know about it in advance. I mean, that's the quid pro quo that exists in the way we do our business now, especially if you're kind of straddling between entertainment and television and the news gathering. That's something you don't do if you're necessarily at the Globe, Herald, Providence Journal.
Well, have you battled that? I mean, I know, so I'll watch you, have a sandwich with Gerard Mayo on TV, or bullshit back and forth with McCourty on TV. Was there ever any part of you that said, I don't know if I can do this necessarily?
No.
Or do you recognize there's a difference?
There was never a part. I do recognize there's a difference, but there was never a part of me that said I don't think I could do this.
Has it colored your coverage of these guys? Has it changed the way you've treated,
No, it hasn't. I don't think it has.
No.
But there are occasions,
Like you consider Mayo a friend?
Yeah, I do.
An actual personal friend?
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing.
Can you cover a guy who's your friend?
No doubt.
You can?
I remember I wrote in 2011, the Super Bowl, when he was beaten for the touchdown to Cruz. I said, that's Gerard Mayo's fault. There weren't a lot of people saying that was Gerard Mayo's fault. I thought it was his fault. The ball zipped in over his head. He's supposed to be a coverage linebacker.
Right.
Should have been able to make that play. Did I write this year when he played? Here's what you end up doing. When the player plays well,
you want to promote it.
Yeah, I think I made a greater notice of the fact that when Mayo played well this year, he was making an impact. I don't know why, but I wouldn't ignore when he missed tackles or over pursued.
Right.
But I think that's what happens. With McCourty, it's not as much. I mean, he plays well. But I remember in 2012, I was kind of the lone person out there on the beat who was really saying McCourty is a serious problem in the secondary when he was playing corner. What was that, 13?
13?
It was the year the refs. Yeah, it was 13.
Maybe?
Yeah, it was 2013. It was the year that they got beat by Baltimore down there in the replacement ref game.
Yeah.
And he had a shit game.
Yeah.
And it's, but he's better in the position he was. But I haven't really shied away from it. And for the most part, unless they're really soft, these guys don't give a shit.
Yeah. Are you? Are you an entertainer? Isn't that a weird word to say? Like, I don't consider myself an entertainer.
You are.
Not really.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I'm entertaining. There's no doubt. I'm like a regular.
No, you're an entertainer.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
See, you.
I do a whole show.
You're a whole soupy sales over here.
Yeah, I have a whole routine.
I think that, no, you are an entertainer. What's entertaining about you is the unvarnished Kirk.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's why coming in here, there was an element of anxiety that I had as to, okay, I don't listen to the podcast because I'm not a podcast guy.
You should listen.
I will.
I'm surprised you're not a podcast guy.
I just listen to Sirius XM,
well,
First Wave, nonstop.
Well, you listen to sports radio. First Wave? That's it? That's your go-to
That's
Sirius
it.
channel?
Yep, 33 all the
East
time.
Free Radio.
Huh?
East Free Radio?
Yeah, that's on there too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be on 33.
First Wave. Like, give me before we get into why you're nervous
give me on
about
the
me.
Smiths and the Smiths and the Cure and
The Replacements on there?
yeah.
Did you see this new biography about the Replacements?
No.
Just came out. I have it. It's an actual hardcover book. I'll give it to you when I'm done if you want. It's good.
This is you'll be entertained by this. When I got out of school, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as an English major at St. Anselm, and I was taking care of lawns for a period of time. Then I sold security systems, and I was back taking care of lawns, and was for a lawn care company in the Cape called the Lawn Company, imaginatively enough.
Boy.
And in the winter, we had to break down the trucks and clean the engines and clean the tanks.
Right.
So while we're under there, it's 10 guys, 15 guys breaking
year
down
is
the
this?
trucks. 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, 1990.
Yeah.
So I'd be on there. I'd sing the whole day while I'm working on the truck. And this
Right.
kid who was in a band, he goes, you want to, he was like kind of a legit, he goes, you're a pretty good singer. Why don't you come
God.
try out with us?
Right.
Sing for the band. So I said, all right, well, I'll do that. And come down to the cellar and sing. So he gave me a few different songs. One was a replacement song.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly the tune of it. But anyway, went down, tried out. I sucked.
Didn't happen.
And I also was not that solid on the words. I remember I sang Superman by R.E.M. too. And so these guys are actually serious musicians.
Right,
and my buddies, after I petered out on a couple songs, the other kid goes, so, there any other songs you don't know the words to you want to do? Well, yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
It's not for everyone. So you were anxious today coming in here? No, you weren't. You're laid back. There's no anxiety.
Well, I don't know which direction you're going to go. There's third rail topics that I know that you will walk up to and poke and prod, and I don't want to get pushed onto those third rails.
We're going to get there.
But we're at job protection stage right now for me.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you're 48 years old. You have a sophomore in college. You have a senior in high school.
But I'm the one who's going to get in trouble, not you.
But I might get. What if
You're not going to say it? What are you going to say?
If we're holding hands and we jump off the bridge together, we're both getting in trouble. So, I mean, if you take me onto a third rail and I step on it.
Such as?
Oh, anything that would.
See what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I know. See?
He introduced it, not me.
So
I didn't say,
easily
I didn't say
led
a thing. I didn't see a thing.
down the primrose path.
I'll ask you one. Do you have a problem? Did you ever? No problem with Mayo. That's fine. You like him. Did you ever have a problem with Kay Adams having a relationship with a player of the Patriots and being
I think
on
that's
your
a
show?
good question. I'm glad you bring that up. And that was kind of a third rail topic.
It seems like it's a question that has to be asked.
No doubt. Right. And this is what.
And I don't know her. To be fair, I don't know her.
Yeah, she's good at what she does.
She's really nice. Yeah.
She's good at what she does. She knows football inside and out. The interesting thing with Kay is that relationship was pre-existing.
Okay.
To her being in New England. When Danny was in St. Louis, she was in St. Louis.
And they were together there.
I don't know if they were together or they had a friendship. It was never really outright stated. I didn't talk about it with her. And it was never outright stated. I'm seeing Danny Amendola.
I don't think it has even since, right?
No.
To my knowledge, right?
I mean, she's,
She went to the ESPYs with him. She was on the float with him. She was hugging them after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but...
Does that bother you?
Not in the least.
Well, how come?
You asked me a little while ago if I'm an entertainer.
Right.
And I think while I toggle between news gatherer and quote-unquote entertainer, making entertaining content and jumping around like a nitwit, I think Kay is more in the entertainment. She's not a news gatherer.
Right.
She's not an information gatherer. So as a result, she can more closely step toward that line, whether it will be like with a Samantha Ponder or other people like that who cover the league. Now, the interesting thing is, we never spoke about it. I never even asked if they were an item.
You've never had that, but are you friends with her or no?
Oh, yeah.
So like
It's not my bit, honestly.
I know, but you ask friends about their relationships
No.
or whatnot. You don't?
Not in that instance.
No, but in friends in your life you do.
Oh, sure.
What's going on? You're dating this guy. How's that going?
Well, but the genesis of the relationship, the friend relationship with her was work.
Right.
So work is going to come first. And if there is something that arises later that calls into question anything, not calls into question, that to me wasn't my business.
Well, yeah, but it's
Her
not.
relationship with Danny Amendola wasn't my business. My bosses were fine. And the relationship, I never asked about it.
Right.
So I didn't care. Now, never did I pump her for information in terms of how's Danny feeling or what are they thinking.
Was it ever offered or no?
No.
No.
Like, for instance, I'll give you one for instance on this.
Yeah, good.
Last year, he had a knee sprain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a long-standing, I think he missed one game with it. I never asked her how he was doing, and she never offered it. And then on a Saturday before they played Denver, I learned that he had made the trip, and it was a knee sprain. That was a specific injury. And I reported it, and she just said to me, "Oh, you're good."
Right.
That was it. Because I wasn't going to ask her, because it's not her position to be trading information about him. And she's not him.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, did you think that Jess Moran had to go? Who were both friends? I mean, I like her a lot, but it seemed to me a situation where I don't think you can have both.
I think our higher ups would be better positioned to answer that than I would.
They won't come on with me.
No, I can appreciate that. I'll say this. I think it could have been managed if they were ahead of it, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah.
But then that would have required perhaps Jen leaving a beat that she enjoyed and was very good at.
I thought she was really good.
So, and that's what's too bad about it.
I agree.
Is she was really good. She was incredibly watchable. She gathered good information. She got in and out of things well. She was good to have on the beat. Had she been ahead of it, perhaps, by saying, look, I now have a serious relationship with the manager. It's what's happened. What can we do about this? Then they could have figured something out.
Yeah.
But once someone else has unveiled that, there's the notion that there was something, quote unquote, hidden, kept under wraps, covered up. So then you kind of hit critical mass.
So I had Jackie McMullen in here, 3 weeks ago maybe, and she told a story about how she was offered money by a bank. They were going to basically do a commercial, like one of these commercials where you follow somebody around during a day, like, oh, I'm this writer and I'm busy and I have kids, but luckily I have this, one of these stupid things. And she said she just couldn't do it. Ethically, she couldn't do it as a journalist. Mm-hmm. And she said she's probably stupid to do that, but that's the way she is. Obviously, I do reads all the time, and now you do them, as well. You have a bunch of commercials, Dr. Leonard and all that stuff. Any issues with you there? No. You're just happy to do it?
No, I'm happy to do it because Jackie is from a period of time in which the Boston Globe was the paragon of sports journalism and certainly competitive as journalistically with any news portion.
Right.
I mean, the best writing in the country, the best reporting in the country in any venue could have been found in the Boston Globe.
What do you think of the Globe today?
No one has read more Boston Globe information over the last 25 years until 2 years ago than me. It front to back, front page to the very end of it was exhaustively entertaining.
What changed 2 years ago?
I couldn't justify the home delivery for $60 a month or whatever the hell it was. Or
what, you don't read online now?
I'm not going to sign up for the firewall. What has changed with it is gratuitously slanted in so many different ways beyond the sports page.
Right.
That it becomes maddening to read, which is sometimes what you do anyway.
Well,
this is what you do. I mean, it's what Howard Stern does. You're maddening to listen to or watch or consume. But it got to the point where I just – and then it was a little sloppy at points.
Are you saying
editing-wise, just content-wise, the writing was sloppy.
Paper itself or the sports page?
The paper itself.
The whole paper itself.
Sports
well, I agree. The goal was to keep, are you talking about particularly with the Zarniev stuff or just overall or just there's a...
Overall.
Yeah.
Overall a slant.
Since Henry took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now when I go and pick it up, and it's much skinnier paper, and the living arts section is gone,
totally gone.
The Metro section, I used to enjoy. You're going to get 4 or 5 sections,
right?
And I would enjoy them. I would read all of them.
What do you think of the sports page?
It's lost its whatever it had.
Now now before you answer, that's partially inevitable if you think about it. If the Globe had been around, If the 1984 Globe crew existed today, they wouldn't be there. They'd be all over the place. Somebody would go to ESPN, somebody would go to Comcast, somebody would go to NFL Network, somebody would go. So, there's that part of it, too. But when I look at it now, there's, other than Shaughnessy, who I know you and I both had trouble with, but I still feel the need to read. It's part of my job. There's nobody there who I say, I got to read this guy today.
When Bob Holmes was there, excuse me, not Bob Holmes, Bob Duffy.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, my God. And one of the incredible writers that has been in this region over the last 30 years. He was writing. Borges was there. Borges was a compelling guy to read.
No question.
I don't know why Borges was so much more compelling to read at the Globe than he is
you don't think he is
at
now?
the Herald. I don't think he's not compelling. I just think when he was at the Globe, he was just fascinating. He would make you think. He would write stuff that you were thinking before you said it. He was needlessly caustic. He was, he'd piss you off. He'd make you think, all those things. It's just hard to continue that because there's so many viewpoints. There aren't so many rare viewpoints anymore. And Borges would bring you a rare viewpoint. Now with whether it's EEI, Comcast, Barstool, all the television. I can't come up with novel angles sometimes because somebody has spit it out by happenstance before I get to it.
Yeah, that's true, and it's. But I will say this: it seems like so. You're 48, I'm 41. It does seem like guys younger than us are having a hard time not landing in the media because there's a whole bunch of those guys. But people are struggling to make their mark, and part of it, I think, is a lot of these guys are afraid to be a contrarian voice. You know, I see a lot of these guys who just sort of fall in like everybody else. And I can't tell one guy from another.
That's a great point.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do. And here's the funny thing, because then you have people who are gratuitously contentious.
Well, I get accused of that.
I'm going to give you, for instance, with the Patriots, covering that beat, I've covered Belichick since 2000. I've had press conferences in which he and I were in conflict. I've had great long phone calls with him. I've had times when I've asked him things that he really appreciated. So I've had all kinds of different things. And I covered him when the team sucked. Mm-hmm. And I covered him when they got good. And I covered him during bleak periods. Mm-hmm. So he and I have a relationship. A lot of the guys who are coming up now, and there are some good writers, Kevin Duffy from Mass Live and Mark Daniels, Projo, and Phil Perry, who I work with, is outstanding. He's going to go very far in this. And Doug Kite at Ness, and all these guys are working hard. Mm-hmm. But they've come to cover the Patriots post-2007 when it already is an established dynasty, and it's hard to question Belichick, and it's hard to ask contentious questions. It's going to piss him off. Additionally, the coverage of press conferences now have become some kind of performance as well.
From Belichick,
but also a critique of the questions that are being posed.
Oh, no question. I do it. No doubt.
And that, to me, is interesting because we look at Albert Breer, and I don't know if you saw the Pro Football Talk story over the weekend.
Yeah.
I've known Albert since he was 16. He was an intern at Metro West when I was there. And I've talked to him throughout his career. He's a friend of mine. And I've advised him, helped him get jobs, everything else.
Right.
There are points at which that was gratuitously contentious on Albert's part, I thought, during press conferences. And it wasn't so much that way until after, when I perceived his appearances on radio or television were victory laps for what he did. Right. So I said, well, what element here was performance by him to gain a hard questioning merit badge?
Right.
And what was really, hey, I need to know? Because sometimes it was needlessly contentious. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just Woodward and Bernstein stuff.
Right.
It was just being an agitator.
Right. So guys like us will say, he asked the tough questions.
Yeah, hey, at least Breer's out there.
The other guys are afraid.
And then when he would say that, hey, somebody has to ask the tough questions, I'd feel like grabbing him by the throat.
Right.
And saying, who are you to say that?
Have you said this to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does he say?
I'm not talking about you.
Right. Right. Well, I don't think he is.
Same thing with Shaughnessy. That's where I flipped out on Shaughnessy.
I remember this. This was at Comcast, right?
Yeah. Were you there?
Yes. Yes. I think I was, actually. This was around 2 years ago? 2 years ago? What happened?
He kept writing the Patriots. Basically, he was calling the Patriots media the craft bot group.
Right.
And I'm not differentiating between whether he's talking about me or Mike Reese or Scott Zolak.
First of all, do you think there's truth in the statement?
No.
No truth at all.
I think there is a healthy fear isn't the right word. I think people are always looking for, as I'm going to use the word again, third rail. I don't want to step on that third rail. It's going to piss them off. Well,
you just mentioned those four guys, and Phil I know because I've seen him at Comcast once or twice. The other three guys I've seen on Twitter, but I don't know who they are. Is that should I my question is, I guess,
no.
For the business that I do, I want to know who they are, right? Mm-hmm. But should I really know who they are? If they're guys on the beat, keeping their head down, like Karen, who I think does a great job, knows football inside and out, but she's not ever gonna, set the dialogue for the city for a day or set the city on fire. But that's okay if you're a good, solid beat person. Is that what I should be looking for? Or should I be looking for a shit stirrer?
You need both. You need both if you're going to be able to do it.
But don't you think Shaughnessy and Ron are essential?
Yes, I do, because it invites the dialogue.
Right.
And that's why, for the general populace, it's great that Shaughnessy would call it, the craft sports.
Right, so go ahead.
Whatever. Yeah. But for me, specifically, I take that as a blanket statement about the media's in the pocket of the Patriots and aren't going to push back on them.
Sure.
And I certainly think that I've done that plenty of times over the years.
So you went to him?
So I said something on the radio, and he said, "You got a problem with me?" And I said, yeah. I said, "You write something like that." I said, that calls, when it's like, "I'm not talking about you." I said, "So who are you talking about? Reese?" Who I've known, again, since 1997 is one of my best friends.
Right.
And because Reese was involved with ESPN Boston, which was
tied in with Crafts. Right.
So the outgrowth of the conversation was he felt media members don't call out media members, period. And I said, look, I was never part of that fraternity. I was making $35,000 a year when everybody was a union member at the Globe, Herald, and Providence Journal, and I couldn't get a friggin' job, and I had 3 kids at home. I worked as hard as I could to get to a paper like that so I could move along. So I have no agreement. I was not part of any fraternity with everyone that said this can't be done. This isn't the way we do things. I like them, but if you throw an arrow, or shoot an arrow across at me, and it lands near me, and I perceive it as being an attack, I'm going to go back. Right,
and that's the same issue we had. I mean, it's the exact same issue we had. I mean, I would go on the air, and I was a little stronger. I would call him, like, Dickless Dan and all this stuff. And
that is stronger.
And he didn't like it, and we had a conversation about it. The one thing I'll say about Shaughnessy is he'll talk about it. There are other guys who would just never, they'll just hate you.
No, he'll talk about it, but he feels awfully persecuted
for somebody
who can throw so much crap. And I remember I said this to him. I said, Dan, I read every single word in the Boston Globe sports section over the course of, my adult life.
Right.
I remember what you wrote after Reggie Lewis died. I remember when you called Dave Gavitt Teflon Dave.
Right.
I remember all those things.
Yeah.
And I remember, so to get pissed at me for things that I say after you've said something about our media contingent and question the professionalism, that pissed me off. Same thing with Felger. I mean, when Felger, after I reported on the Welker stuff a little bit and was able to divine exactly the timeline and said, the Patriots had signed, this is 2013, the Patriots had signed Amendola before Welker was that Wednesday.
Right,
and it was
the same day.
It was a big song and dance, and he wasn't really even, I put that out there, and he and Tony questioned it and said it was, a planted story, propaganda for the Patriots. That's on Comcast simulcast into my office.
Right.
That they're saying my story is shit. So, yeah, I flipped out on both of them.
What'd they say? On the air or off the air? I don't remember.
I flipped out on Tony off the air.
Who you've probably known forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I
and Felger, too.
Yeah, I talked to Mike, too.
Yeah. And what do they say?
I like Felger. I think he's, and I don't dislike Tony, but I just think Felger is unapologetic, has it figured out how he's going to do things, and stays very married to it. And that's what is respectable about it. Now, he hates to be demonized the way he is. Why does everybody get pissed at me when I'm just trying to do the job? But again, give you another guy. When you talk about the Patriots have made money for people, Michael Felger makes money for people.
Of course.
He's made a lot of money for people.
Sure.
So I think that it's interesting when you look at the way all this shit works. Am I babbling too much?
No, this is what we do. Do you enjoy, because I've done some shows with you, not a lot.
I got to take a leak soon.
What do you mean?
I have to urinate.
Well, you have to hold it in for another 10 or 15 minutes.
You don't have a pause button?
You're a fucking grown man.
You know how much water I drink?
You're 48 years old.
You got to hydrate. I mean, I had this coffee. I had
you
this
just
coffee.
You pissed. Last time I pissed, you pissed 45 minutes ago.
Do you know how much water I had before I came in here?
A day?
25?
You piss 25 times a day?
I'm going to piss.
How many hours sleep do you get a night?
9.
You sleep 9 hours a night?
I was
sleeping. What the fuck is wrong with you? So you're up. Let me do this. Carry the one. You're up 15 hours a day. You gonna go now to urinate?
I do.
All right, we'll pause it. I don't even know how we pause. We haven't paused it yet.
Sing.
We're back on. Let me just. The one thing you've always done whenever you're at Comcast is whenever I was there is you would wander over to me and say, "Take a deep breath before you go in there," and I would go in there, whether it was Haggerty or Gresh or whatever, and I would do my stupid shit dumb thing, and I would walk back out, and you would be there like my dad, just shaking your head. You would just shake your head and walk away. At least you tried. I'll say that. At least
Yeah.
you tried.
It's just because
But I take everything so personally, and I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I do.
Do you understand it's entertainment too, though?
Yes, I mean I understand.
See, the reason what you do is good because you know it's entertainment. You know, just be unvarnished, and it's going to be very entertaining as
but I'm
opposed to
gonna wind up-
antiseptic.
But I'm going to wind up working at Cape Cod. What was it? Where the hell did you work?
Oh, the Barnstable Patriot?
No, the friggin'
Lawn company.
I'll be the lawn company. It's
Yeah, I know.
it's going to end very spectacularly and poorly. Did you?
I don't think it will. I don't. I mean, I've thought that before, that it might, but I don't think it will.
It probably will.
You're still, I mean, you're not like Bubba the Love Sponge. I mean, you're going to be fine.
I don't think it's going to end like that. No. You've done a lot of sports talk radio. I've seen you. Your name's out. Whenever a job opens up, your name is always in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of these guys. I've worked with you enough. I would have a number of concerns. Let's just say that John or Jerry, dropped dead today.
Sure.
God willing. And they said,
God willing.
And they said, threw some names at me. And they said, what about Tom? What about Curran? I would say, great guy, love him, fantastic. I think he'd do a great job. Here's my number one concern.
Go ahead.
Could he hang in there for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, without his eyes rolling out of his head? Fair criticism?
No doubt. And I can be a real dick with that, unfortunately. I get impatient with other people who are trying to do the job as it needs to be done
Right.
on a down day, on a quiet
So
day
do
when
I,
there's nothing
yeah.
to talk about.
Right. I can be a real baby about it.
I don't want to talk about this. I think that's stupid. What are we doing that for? Nobody cares.
I
We're
do the
just
same
trying
thing.
to create something.
On the air, I do it.
And that's being a baby. It's
Yeah,
not
but
understanding,
it's entertaining if it's true. Would you want to do it or no?
I can't do 4 hours. I mean, I would have to be a different person. I'm very, you have to put on a lot with radio. You have
do.
to put on
It's
for
gotta be-
4 hours. You
you
have
gotta
to
be on.
generate enthusiasm.
Yeah, you got to be on.
Yeah, that's why I think it's hard. And that's why I think Felger's really good as he moves the show along. It gets moving. It's quick, rapid-fire conversation. Nothing stays stagnant. And I'm not, saying that other shows don't, but I don't like idle conversation. And then on other points, I do. I
Right.
like some in-depth stuff. I like to hear sociological conversations. I really do.
Right.
I'm not a right-wing guy. I'm not a conservative. But I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there that doesn't get chewed on.
See, for me, I just can't. Already, I've been doing it for 4 years, and I can't. There's a limit to how much actual recap and preview I can do on the air.
I mean, I
It's
can't
just-
rail about Craig Kimbrell today. I can't. I mean, I could spend a half an hour complaining about Marcus Smart,
Right.
but I mean, I can't get fired up about some friggin' closer that they just signed, giving up a 2-run home run last
Right.
night for 45 minutes because it's April 25th.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap what he looks like now.
But you have to, though.
Have to act like it's the end of the world, and that's where I think Maz has a hard time. Is everything's a 5-alarm fire with him?
Well, I think. Yeah, I mean,
Am I not supposed? I could talk about them over there
okay.
on this podcast. Right?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. It's tough because you want to be able to at least have some basis of reason. But we'll get you out of here soon. We'll get you out of here.
Sorry,
anytime.
just check
it. But the problem with it is being measured right now. It feels like it gets you nowhere, and it feels like you're just standing around.
Yep.
So the question is, you try and be reasonable as much as you can, but after a while, you say, why am I pretending when I actually feel this way? Like right now, I think I've been saying it for the last 2 weeks. They should fire Farrell. I think he's a shitty manager, and he's costing them games. So should they wait till some pretend 40-game mark that people used to talk about in 1976 where everyone got together and agreed it's 40 games? Or since he's actually costing them games now, if he was a left-handed setup guy and he sucked, he was costing them games, to get rid of him. But because he's the manager, they shouldn't get rid of him? So now I'm saying they should fire the manager, and people are saying that's overreacting. Well, if you really believe it, is it overreacting?
No, never.
I don't know. Or am
No,
I searching for it? I wonder sometimes.
No. If you really, I mean, you just laid out the reasons that you feel that way, so
Right.
it's not false.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Deflategate. Some of the best writing that I've done over the last 10 years was that because I really believed that they were getting
definitely
boned.
read the passion. Yeah.
They were getting boned.
Right.
Now, do I think that there is a percentage chance that at some point Tom Brady and the equipment men might have relieved some footballs of air pressure if they felt that they were too heavy coming out of the officials' room? Yeah, I mean, there's enough smoking gun evidence in terms of the text that at least puts that seed of curiosity in my mind. There's been enough murmurs away from things to indicate it. But on that night, no. you don't have a smoking gun portion of evidence.
Are you surprised at how poorly ESPN handled it in the last year? Starting from Mortensen all the way. I mean, there's 8 different, 20 different things. I mean,
it was embarrassing. Up to and through the Don Van Natta, Seth Wickersham story. That to me was a 10,000-word tome that started out as a really well-positioned dissertation on this. The news there was that a cabal of owners went after the Patriots because of 2007.
Basically, we don't care if there's nothing. We want to fuck these guys over.
That's the friggin' story that should have.
And it came in like at the end of the story.
It started a little bit at the beginning, and then we had 6,000 words on Patriots apparently rifling through trash for opposing teams' game plans.
Gatorade. Was that the Gatorade one or no?
Yeah, it was spiking Gatorade or whatever, warm Gatorade and rifling. No, that was actually SI.
That was Rosenberg, I think.
That was SI had the Gatorade.
Rosenberg's the guy who wrote that they built the screen, whatever the hell.
Screen, so
which he did. We had him on the next day, and he's like, "Oh, we said that doesn't make any sense." He's like, "Oh yeah, I never thought of that." I'm like,
well, it's funny. He's in the pocket of Ryan Grigson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, he wrote a long, fawning,
big Grigson piece.
Lead story feature on Grigson last year for SI. So, I mean, these different allegiances that exist. But then backdrops to him.
But then you get tied in as a guy who's pro-Patriots because you write, pro-Patriots on this. Now, if the Patriots were guilty, my guess is that you would write about how they're guilty, no?
Yeah.
If you got a piece of evidence that came to you today, let's just say you just got a text that said, listen, I got this. McNally wants to talk to you, and he wants to bare his soul and say that they're guilty. I'm guessing you're going to write that story.
You're going to write that story.
Have you tried to contact those guys?
Yes.
Yeah. How's that gone?
You can't get through.
You can't get them?
No.
Where they're just gone? I mean, they're around, though, right?
Underground Railroad. Yeah, they're gone. I mean, they're around. And, there's, I think Yastrzemski is a more sympathetic figure than McNally.
Yeah, it seems that way.
He was there for 25 years or whatever, and
right.
He had gone through an illness. He had just gotten married, and then this kind of blew up on him. And I think that what's interesting is Brady's allegiance to them has been significant. That is kind of an untold story in this.
I can't, we have Brady on every week. You know him much, much better than I do. I've only met him a few times. Brady's whole group around him is starting to creep me out a little bit. Guerrero freaks me out a little bit.
I know him really well.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you wrote your whole thing. That stuff bothers me. It just seems insulated, and it seems not connected to the public. I don't know. Brady seems like put it this way. What's Brady like now versus, forget 2000 or 2001. What's he like now versus, say, 2006 or 2008? How much has he changed to deal with?
What he's like now today compared to what he was like on January 5th, 2014 is a 180-degree turn.
Right.
For 14 seasons, his 08 and 2014, early 2014, before Deflategate, Tom Brady was the same guy, at least as far as I was concerned.
Right.
I wanted to talk to him. I could talk to him, sidle up to him, have a conversation. He'd be available at his locker. For casual conversation, a question or two for a story, shoot the shit about your kids, ask him a thing or two, have a relationship. Last year he was a moving target.
It's gone now.
Gone.
Right.
He would not stay in the locker room. He would not really engender long conversations. He'd be cordial,
right,
but on the move. And that's too bad. But I wouldn't worry about that coterie of people around him. I think that he has become more monomaniacal.
The thing with Guerrero, though, and I know you wrote about it, and I read
Sure.
it, and you worked out there, but you're not in business with him.
No.
This is a guy who has bilked money out of people, has run a cancer scam. It's different. You want to go there and get your shoulder worked on, whatever it was. Fine. Brady's in business with this guy.
I think
and that's where Brady and I had. I don't think we ever really.
Let's look at the Guerrero story that the Globe wrote. There were two different ways to slant that.
Well, the Boston Magazine one, too.
Boston Magazine wrote. There were a couple different ways to slant that Boston Magazine piece. And if you look again, Boston Magazine, has had a slant that whether
they've
it be
definitely
the crafts
right,
or this. So if you look at what was the context of the cancer bilking operation, what was his level of involvement, Guerrero's, And why, if he was a founding member of this group who was bilking people out of money for cancer, was he only fined $60,000 or give us your Escalade?
But he also did it separately, too. This is not the only time he did
But
this.
let's just stick with that one.
Yeah.
So he wasn't nearly, and this was a long time ago when he wasn't really very established. So somebody in a bigger organization brought him under. Had him do, I know you're having a hard time with this.
He was still an adult man when he did this.
Oh, yeah.
He was in his 30s.
He basically explained it to me as it was framed differently to him than the way it was presented when it actually went out.
Was there a chance that he's just selling you a bill of goods?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's
not like he's a lifelong friend.
You're not cutting this guy a check if he's going
for
to
5
business.
years. But yeah.
Right.
No. I think that Tom Brady's instincts over the course of time, and he's worked with Guerrero since 2005, so that predates things. I think that Brady's instincts, his upbringing, what he's been all about over the course of his career and life, really, speaks pretty well of his ability to judge people. So if somebody's around him, are they going to be spotless and pristine? Not necessarily in every instance, but I do believe that Brady's instincts have been good. So to reflexively look at people around Brady and say, well, I'm worried about these people.
I mean, worried. It just seems Scientology-ish.
Okay, that's fair.
It seems, obviously I don't mean from a religious perspective.
No, but I understand. It's cultish.
It's a little cultish. Even the guy like Leibovich, who I think has now fallen into this world. He's going to write a book. I don't know, the book's not with Brady, right?
No, I don't think Brady's cooperating.
But, he wrote the New York Times story. He never mentioned anything about Guerrero. Now he's writing a book about Brady. The whole world seems like that. Scientology is the word I keep going back to.
Yeah, I think cultish is good too, because there becomes a level of loyalty that you have to the person because of who they are and how they are, but also because they help take care of your livelihood.
Correct.
And there's the added non-monetary aspect of being involved and close to someone who Tom Brady is. Is a historic sports figure. I mean, that's when you look at it. My obituary will say covered the 2000. Covered the Patriots during Bill Belichick's thing. If somebody even writes an obituary, is
there any part of you ever that wants to go up to Belichick and just say, "What the fuck"? I mean, Can we just both? We're both men. Can we just Can you just answer questions?
Yes.
That's never happened.
I don't think I've ever said that.
I mean,
to him.
you know what I mean.
No, but I would say that to him.
Yeah.
I would have no problem.
How was he
that
versus 11 years ago, 6 years ago?
Comes and goes, same way he used to.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about
he has some terrific press conferences.
I'm not talking about the Fridays where he talks about Mark Bavaro. I'm talking about just as a guy.
He's much more relaxed.
Yeah.
He's much easier to deal with. He's
really?
Much more. Yeah, he's much easier to deal with in a lot of different ways.
Does he read everything?
Yeah.
Everything.
I think he does.
You think he reads everything?
If he doesn't, I would imagine Berge
right.
does.
Are there people, so they're just writers he flat out just hates? Or no?
I think that they might make their decisions pretty quickly on whether or not somebody is to be taken seriously or not. I don't think if somebody writes something negative, they become an enemy of the state. I think if the Patriots themselves feel that somebody has worked diligently, tried to figure out what the frig is going on, and then writes the story, they're okay with it.
You mean like the Chandler Jones stuff?
I'll give you... Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that would be a good instance. I mean, what did you do? And that's the difference is during that period of time when you didn't know exactly what was going on, what were you writing, what were you pushing forward in those hours on your blogs, in your information, with your Twitter account? What were you pushing forward? Or did you wait? Did you wait to find out? So I'll give you an interesting, for instance, with Belichick. In 2005, Brady was locked in a contract squabble with the team that no one really knew about. He wanted more guaranteed money. He wanted $26 million. They were offering him $22.
Okay.
And I wrote that story. And
where were you then?
I was at Providence.
Okay, Projo, yeah.
And there was a problem going on because I wrote the story. I said, here's a hang-up. Well, no one had reported on any kind of hang-ups. No one had said there was any kind of problem.
Yes.
Brady hadn't said it. Belichick hadn't said it. So I tried to contact both Scott Pioli and Belichick before I wrote it, and Brady's agent. And I wrote it, and then Belichick, called me the next day, and he wasn't pissed necessarily, but he goes, that's a story that you got to give us a shot on. You got to give me a shot to explain it. You can't just
Right.
write that without giving us a shot. That's not really fair. Wasn't pissed. Didn't hold a grudge.
It's a reasonable.
Just basically said,
Right.
I said, well, I did try. I tried Scott, and I tried.
Yeah.
He goes, well, it has implications. When
Is
you
he
do
still
that.
doing that now, or is he just moved on to? If that thing happened today, would he even call you, or is he just sort of?
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He would want to have a conversation but he wouldn't lose his mind about it.
Right.
And if he didn't talk to me, he wouldn't give a crap either.
Are you at the point now, career-wise, and we'll let you go. I'm sure you have to urinate. It's been almost
it's good.
It's been almost 13 minutes.
No, I got it all.
What do you do for a long drive? You're in the car for 6 hours.
No, 40. Most of my. Oh, then I take a piss when I need to take a piss.
You pull over like 5 times?
I don't
use
care.
like a Gatorade bottle?
Look, and this is Guerrero. You have to drink half of your weight.
No, don't
in
try.
water
Don't look me in
every
the eyes.
day.
Don't try and
Half-
convert me. Don't do this.
Half
Don't
of your
do
weight
it. Don't
in
do
water
this.
every day.
Yes.
Do you have any aches and pains?
I'm okay, and I run every single day.
So how much water do you drink?
I drink a pretty fair amount of
Yeah,
water.
you weigh about 137 pounds.
About 170.
All right, so you should be drinking 100 ounces a day if you're exercising.
I can't drink that much. I would never. I get up every day at 3:30. I can't get up at 1:30 and piss. My 5 hours sleep. Not all of us sleep 12 hours. Like you're like friggin' De Niro in The Untouchables, where people bring a newspaper to you after you sleep for 12 hours. Some of us have to live a life. We're not kings of industry.
I need this spatula to get me out of bed. But I'm telling you, if you drink more water, you'll be in a better mood. But I try to drink 100 ounces a day. So I didn't drink any water before I got here, but then I guzzled a
ounces is a
whole
lot.
shit ton in the car.
Yeah.
I have this big Bubba cooler, and I drank a bunch of the water. This Ben. Somebody
Okay.
die?
We're gonna have to let you go here, Tom. I think pretty quickly, actually, because I think you have some work to do here. Very fast. We'll let you. All
right, thanks.
We'll let you get going. Let me just say this real quick. We got about 30 seconds ago as big news breaks. About 5 years ago, I was at Gillette. You pulled me over aside, and I was pretty new to radio, pretty new to writing. And you're one of the few guys that said, "Hey, you're doing a good job. I like what you're doing." Meant a lot to me. Not a lot of guys did that, so I've always appreciated that. Probably haven't told you that.
You're very welcome.
But I've always appreciated that. I know you do that for a lot of young guys. So thanks for coming. I think you might have some work to do now.
Shit. All right, thanks.
Get on it.
This
See
is
ya.
great.
See ya. Thanks for listening to Enough About Me with Kirk Minihane. If you want more great podcasts, it's pretty easy. You can go to the WEI mobile app. You can go to Stitcher. You can go to iTunes. You can look up Enough About Me with Kirk Minihane. You can find the ones with Sean McDonough, Bob Ryan, Dan Shaughnessy, David Portnoy. There'll be more. And what you can do when you like them, you write a review. That'll help us out a lot. You give us a rating. We can help you. You can help us. Get that done. Do it right now.